So we're going to talk a little bit about shading shapes into forms. And as you can see, I have a white sphere here on white paper with a direct light. So it has the 5 areas of light. You've got the highlight, you've got your mid-tone, you've got your core shadow, you've got your reflected light, and then of course your cast shadow down here. Now you have to remember that within this sphere, the value scale, all of the values are coming into play here. So when you take a look at your sphere, you want to make sure that you are not forgetting any of those areas of light. So when I draw my sphere on my paper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in my circle shape first. And I'm going to add it, and I'm going to go lightly because then I can go back and erase any lines that I don't need and take care of it right away. So then I'm also going to draw in my cast shadow here. And I'm obviously going to have to expand on that as I start the value process of it. But for now, I have my sphere drawn and I have my cast shadow. So what I like to do when I shade, I like to go in and I like to use the side of my pencil. And I go in usually and add my darker shades and make sure that I leave kind of my spot for my highlight. So I'm going to kind of make a little bit of a light area there so that I remember that that is my highlighted area. And I started out a little bit darker than what I would have liked to. The great part is I can go in with my eraser. I can erase, my parts. I can bring back my highlight once I get done because I'm not going very, very dark. And you're going to want to go lighter as well. So when I am shading, I'm going to keep in mind all the different values that I did in my value scale. If you have not done your value scale yet, you are going to want to do that first before you start this so that you can get your various shades together and you can see the progression of dark to light or light to dark, however you want to look at it. So if you notice, when I'm shading my sphere, I am shading it with the shape of the sphere. I am not going to shade straight up and down or side to side or even at a diagonal. I am going with the shape of the sphere. That's very, very important. If you don't follow that shape, it's going to look very, very flat. Now, if you're doing a cube, that's a whole nother idea because you will have flat sides to it, and that's not going to matter so much. So as you can see, I have my highlight and I have my mid-tone, and now I'm working on my shadow here, my core shadow. Went out just a little bit. I'm going to go back and clean that up just a tiny bit. And I have my reflected light down here. And I'm going to go back in with my eraser and I'm going to capture that lighter area down here. But now as I'm looking at my sphere, I see areas I need to go back and I need to kind of add a little bit of value, take away a little bit of value where I added too much. You don't want to have lines separating your values. You want it to blend nicely. So what I'm doing is I'm going back and I'm adding a little more to that core shadow, and I'm following the sphere shape when I do it. That's important. Okay, you can see that I've added my values. I have my white, I have my light gray, I have my medium gray, I have kind of a medium or darker gray, and then my reflected light is that lighter gray again. Now the cast shadow on that sphere is going to be your darkest area. Okay, you're going to have a very dark gray all the way to a black. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to enhance this core shadow just a little more. Now that I'm looking at it, I need to add a little more to it, which I'm going to do. I also like to shade in circles when I'm shading the form so that you cannot see the direction that has been shaded. Okay, So there you go. There is the sphere. Working on my cast shadow, I know that this needs to be dark. I'm going to bring it out just a little bit. And this is the darkest area on the entire drawing. And it will always be the darkest area in your drawing. I'm going to bring this out just a little bit, and it gradually gets a little bit lighter as the light disperses from that sphere on the edge. I'm going to come on over here, and I'm going to turn my paper just a little bit so that you all can see and I can get to it. Clean that edge up a little bit, and as you can see, there is my shadow. Okay, now the goal with value and shading is to make it so that there are no lines. We do not want to see any outlines. When you value something, you are not having any lines to show for it. It should be just shaded, and everything should not have lines to it. You don't want to outline, okay? So there you go. There is a shadowed or valued sphere. Practice. It does take some practice, and you will have beautiful, beautiful forms just by using a regular pencil.